Pregame.tv, the college basketball season is over with. We're breaking down the NBA, but you know what? The NBA season is over as well. I know who's going to win it all, and it's not Connecticut. I've got my champion. I'm going to disclose it right here and now. And Brady, is it wide open in your opinion? What do you think?
Well, you know, I really like the West. I mean, I think the East seems to be a foregone conclusion at this point, especially with the way the Pacers have really tanked the last month or so. They're really a mess, and it's kind of disappointing because I think that was brewing to be a nice matchup there with the Heat and the Pacers. But out west, I think it's quite interesting, and I also think it's very interesting for that last playoff spot. You've got really about 4 teams involved there with the Warriors and the Grizzlies, the Trailblazers, I think, still have an outside shot, and the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, Portland's in. Portland's the 5. I think we got...
Portland's ahead of Golden State?
Yeah, Golden State's the 6.
Golden State's 6.
And then you got the Dallas...
Mavericks.
Dallas is battling it out with Memphis.
And Phoenix
And Phoenix.
Right, gotcha.
And all 3 are playing very well down the stretch.
They are.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be exciting. I think the West has been more exciting all year, and it really has been for a few years. I think the Clippers are fun to watch. You know, you've got OKC, and then there's the deal with OKC and the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs have been swept by OKC this season. You know, can you buy into that at all when it comes playoff time?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I was just talking to Scott Spreitzer on our radio show, on his radio show today, and it's funny how they say how in golf, this is true in golf, unless you're Jean Van de Velde, everyone remembers who finishes first, no one remembers who finishes second, right? Mm-hmm. And so we all know the Heat, you know, won, and we all know that to a lesser extent, okay, the Spurs, you know, lost in the championship last year.
Right.
But it's so easy to forget because everyone's talking about how Oklahoma City, you know, they dominated the Spurs, they've won all 4 games. Well, when the games really counted, you know, just, 10 months ago, it was the Spurs that were kicking some serious thunder ass as they swept them 4-0 in the playoffs. And people don't even remember that.
Right.
You know, what a domination. How good that Spurs were.
I didn't remember that they swept them. You're exactly right.
And then, and now people are like, oh, well, the matchups are really bad for the Spurs. I'm like, they weren't bad in June. What's really happened? Has Harden come back to Oklahoma City? I don't think so.
Yeah, Houston's interesting too.
They are.
They could throw a wrench into the system.
Houston's a matter of they got to get their health. You know, they got their big man. He's sitting out. Beverly, their best defender, is sitting out. So they got to get back to 100%.
How many more games do we have left?
I think 6.
I was going to say 6. About a week?
Yeah, about a week. I think 1 week from Wednesday, so maybe like 5 games. 1 week from Wednesday, I believe we wrap up, right?
I thought it was about 6-7 games, so I'm sure you're right. And I was talking about that yesterday. So 5 or 6 sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. And then you look at the East, and I think unless Miami stubs their toe, it's a foregone conclusion. It's pick 'em right now.
It's too bad it's come to that.
Whether Indiana even gets to the finals right now, I think it's pick 'em. To play not the finals, the finals of the East.
Right.
They got to get by Brooklyn or Chicago, and heck, they got to get by Charlotte in round 1.
They're having trouble getting by the Knicks.
They're definitely struggling. But in the West, what's interesting is that I'm taking a different take on this. I see this as not being wide open at all. I think the Spurs are going to absolutely roll for a variety of reasons. One is I think that we as bettors, we overreact to any one play. Mm-hmm. NFL, Seattle, clearly the best team. Mm-hmm. No, Seattle, with the ridiculous big home field advantage, they beat the 49ers basically on a play that can go either way.
Yep.
If that game was in San Francisco, there's no way Seattle would have won that game, in my opinion. Now, Seattle looked great in the Super Bowl. I got to raise their power rating for that. But San Francisco was the best team easily at the end of the year. Will they be without Harbaugh? Things have, with Harbaugh, the management not wanting him being there, problems in the locker room, who knows? But I look at the Spurs, and here's a case where if Ray Allen doesn't make the miracle 3, all the people are leaving, Miami Stadium. They win that series in 6, and we're talking about the Spurs dynasty. Yep. We're talking about there's no way anyone's going to beat the Spurs, but because that washed-up former UConn player throws in a miracle
Here we go
3,
to UConn again.
All of a sudden, boom, now the Spurs, their window has passed. They're not going to win anymore. Just because of one random event at the very end. Just because Kawhi Leonard can't make a free throw to seal the game. I really look at it.
I like Kawhi Leonard too. I think he is a kind of an X factor on that Spurs team out of San Diego State. I've always liked that guy. Great draft pick by the Spurs.
No question about it. And I think that one thing I really like about the Spurs too. I have a little 3-year-old at home, so I don't watch a lot of the East Coast games, okay? We're having dinner. But then he goes to he's getting ready for bed. I help out with the bath, and then boom, the game started at 7:30. I watch the West Coast teams.
Right.
Because I can stay up.
More fun to watch, really.
They're more fun to watch. One thing, they're a little more random because more 3-point shooting. But one thing I have to tell you that is just a joy is that the Spurs with Popovich, they get a rebound. There's 34 seconds left.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Rush up the court. Hell-bent on getting that 2-for-1. 32 seconds, swing up, the 25-footer goes up from Parker or Ginobili or whoever. Everybody knows. Everyone understands. You take a bad 3, and you hear the announcers. They're all wrong. They're like, well, I'd rather get a good shot than a bad shot. Bullshit. You'd rather get a shot.
Sure.
It's amazing how often these NBA players, when they shoot that 25-foot 3, with momentum towards the basket, it goes in a fourth of the time at least, and then you do the math.
Right.
And it screws the other team because now there's nothing worse. There's 28 seconds left.
Right.
So, you really should run it down to 5 seconds and shoot right at the end of the shot clock because it's hard for the other team to get a good shot coming back.
Sure.
But that ruins your offense also because you have to shoot right at the 2-second or the 1-second mark.
Takes you out of your rhythm.
Yes, while I'm talking to them, as far as the end game, the one thing, oh my God, I hate this, and the Spurs don't do it. You have a foul to give. The other team's going for the final shot, all right, in a quarter. And there's 12 seconds to go, and they foul with 9 seconds. And I lose my mind. And I'm like, what, you thought they're going to shoot with 7 seconds left?
Right.
As you're going for the final shot. You think they're really going to put one up. And the other thing that drives me crazy is when the team is going for the final shot and the other team just packs it back and lets them just dribble it down 10 seconds to go. Half-court press, go after them.
Right.
Who cares if you foul? Because you're going to get the final possession then. And yet you see that again and again. And I always look, even at the end of the game when it's tied, I say, and by the way, Valvano understood this. And 30 years ago, NC State, they were one of their tournament games. They were tied. It was Houston. They fouled Houston. No shot clock, a minute to play. Hacked the freshman, said, go to the free throw line. You're not getting the final shot.
Yep, I remember that. And that's well documented in the 30 for 30 special.
And when you think about it, if you have a money line bet on a team, there's 25 seconds left or 20 seconds left, you're like, just let us have the final shot or we'll play overtime. So I got a 40% chance to hit the shot and then 50-50 overtime. I'm going to win 70% of the time. As soon as you put pressure on the ball, now it's wide open, and your chance of winning goes down dramatically. It's still over 50%.
Sure.
But it's much less. But getting back to the task at hand, I love the way the Spurs play. They make all the right advanced metric plays.
Yes.
I never see them make a mistake versus all these other teams don't have a clue what they're doing.
They play very smart.
And because of that, with home field advantage this year, not being tested, everyone's rested with all the minutes. I love them. I'm going to make it official here.
Let's do it.
Well, I didn't even look up the odds on the Spurs to win it all because I know Connecticut, everyone was saying, oh, you could have gotten 100-1 in Connecticut. If you would have just parlayed the money lines, if you did no shopping at all, you would have gotten 215-1. If you shopped aggressively for the very best lines, you could have gotten as high as 300-1. The same will be true with the Spurs. We'll just bet on each and every money line in each round of these playoffs. They are going to roll. No one is stopping this team because they are the most well-rested. They got the freshest legs. Pop plays 10 people. They play the right way. They're not selfish. And they're going to remember last year how they had Miami beat. There's a lot of studies that show if you're in an NBA Finals and you lost to the other team the prior year, the revenge factor does go ahead and kick in. They're going to have home field. The Spurs are going to roll. And by the end of this year, they're going to be talking about how the San Antonio Spurs were one of the longest dynasties the NBA has ever seen with all the titles they accumulated throughout the years, similar to Connecticut, except where they didn't have to get lucky. They actually earned all of them, and they should have won one or two more. We go with the Spurs to romp. This thing is not wide open. It's Spurs. No one else can win this championship. I am confident I will bet anyone lunch. Spurs, you can have the field. You'll be buying me lunch.
Sounds good. I actually spent some time with Greg Popovich very early in my media career when he was an assistant with the Golden State Warriors. And
wow.
I was fresh out of college, and Donnie Nelson was the coach. Oh, big Don Nelson, not Donnie Nelson Jr. Chris Mullen, Mitch Richmond, Timmy Hardaway. They had drafted Chris Webber. Those were some good times. And you really thought the Warriors were going to have a chance back then. But really the best the Warriors have been in years, really since the days of Rick Barry, is now.
Yeah, you know, the one thing, to answer the trivia question, only 3 teams in the NBA give up under 48 points in both the third and the fourth quarter.
Wow.
And the Golden State's one of them.
I would not have guessed them because they're not known for defense.
Again, they play great second-half defense, so that's a big change.
I really like Mark Jackson.
That has kicked in, and I love Mark Jackson and what he's doing. And the one thing I always worry about those little, not little, but the guards, you know, just with Curry, getting beat up in the playoffs.
They need a little more muscle on that team. They're close.
Yeah, and you know, if Bo gets healthy, you know, they could definitely be a contender. Well, thanks for tuning in each and every week here to the Well-Oiled B Team. We are going to try to trade for Brian Leonard because we are lacking on the baseball expertise, and Brian brings it with Brian's Diamonds. As for the NBA, I'm looking already at the schedule, and I actually have a game. We're taping this Tuesday night. I have a game I absolutely love ahead of time, so that's going to be up at Pregame Pros as well. I think I may well have a rare 3-star play on an NBA play Wednesday. I've only had 12 of them in my pregame career, 9-3, looking to go to 10-3. Stay tuned. That will be over at pregamepros.com. And thank you again for joining us each and every week. Marco D'Angelo is back with my man, Ken Thompson, on Thursday, taping more basketball videos. And Marco has set the record never to be broken. Marco once won, not 5, not 10. Help me out, Brady. Not 15.
Not 20.
Not 20. But 25 high five baseball games in a row. He never laid more than $1.20. Marco D'Angelo is the man. Thanks again for joining us, and for checking out all the videos. Let's punch in some more winners at pregame.tv.